Hi, it's a bit of a remake really, because I make that many videos. A lot of stuff just gets lost in the thing, in the list, as it were. So this is an updated video. I've been watching quite a few of Chris Hedges' speeches, and I only really discovered Chris Hedges in the last couple of years because I've been very heavily involved in other aspects of what's going on in this world, mostly with children's rights, and I have time to see what I see, and often looking at stuff that other people have sent me. So I like Chris Hedges. What he says is true, is correct. He's also coming from a place of universal intelligence as well. He's a Presbyterian minister, I think, and he actually does physical good work in the world. He doesn't just get up on this podium and deliver speeches. He's written lots of books, and he goes to prisons to educate people in prison, and his heart is with those people, and I really respect him for that. Unlike a lot of so-called truthers who, get up on the podiums, sell the books, have massive, huge public followings, and they don't actually do anything at all apart from spout the horrors that are going on, inform people about the horrors of life, and also intersperse that with, stories about lizards and shape-shifting and all kinds of things that just cloud the issues. You won't hear Chris Hedges talking about our corrupt leaders shape-shifting into lizards, okay? So my reason for making this video is because of this, really, to share this revelation, Cerinthus. Now, I have explained, and I'll leave the links to my Cerinthus videos so you can have a look. So I'm not going to go into showing you the facts of it in this video, because you just need to know that what I'm saying is correct, okay? Because America right now, and I've made a comment here on this Chris Hedges video, people will continue to worship the celebrity. 25 years I've tried to share truth, as regularly explained by Chris Hedges, and the truth of universal intelligence, which you have. I'll leave you my Supernatural and Not Yet video underneath this video as well. So have a look at that, listen to my experience of light being and receiving the message of universal law. I'm not a celebrity, I'm a nobody, but it happened to me. I'm sharing it with you freely. I'm not asking you for money or subscriptions. I'm not trying to flog you a book. Okay? I could write a book. I have written a book. I haven't bothered to publish it. Why? Because actually there's enough books out there already. Okay? But as a last resort, I might publish it this year. I've been offered help to get it published, so who knows. But I'm hoping that I really don't need to write another book, because to me that is at this time in our history, it means nothing. It's meaningless. Okay. And so what have I received for my work for 25 years on the ground, and that has included physical work of helping the people around me, helping to get people rehomed, helping to teach refugees English, all voluntary, supporting animal rights, supporting children's rights, doing legal, helping people with their benefit claims, legal work, caring for people, work on the ground. and also my own life experience that I've learnt from a very young age, having survived CSA for 17 years, the first 17 years of my life on this planet, okay, as a little girl and as a teenager and a young woman, just sexual abuse, that was it, okay, off virtually most of the men that I came into contact with. And so my reward for all of that, for surviving CSA, for being a genuinely helpful, caring person, compassionate person, what I've received is loneliness, judgment, scorn, ridicule, attack, malicious slanders and libel, depression, poverty, illness. My crime, standing up for children's rights to justice, in a world where leading nations like America await fulfilment of Cerinthus revelations, stolen prophecies revered by people living on stolen lands, where all but a remnant of the natives remain. As ye give, so shall ye receive. Certainly, Americans are not like the people of Nineveh, who change for the good rather than suffer the inevitable total destruction that lawlessness brings. And I've left a link there to the Cerinthus revelations. But actually, you know, writing that, listening to Chris Hedges and reading other comments actually on another video today about revelations and how people, you know, are all, well, basically the whole thread was just full of people. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to, you know, name other people's names or target people, but most of the comments, they're just waiting for the rapture, and they're all very excited that the prophecies are being fulfilled. Okay, so obviously the world still isn't waking up. Now, I have noticed that in my video here, just as I was scrolling through, somebody else has picked up on this as well. So I'll have a look at that video later on. And but the point is that this message needs to be spread far and wide. The world needs to wake up, because we have been living under these prophecies of doom and gloom for how long? In Britain, over 1,000 years since they were, you know, incarcerated into the so-called New Testament, that was completely overseen and written by the corrupt Roman officials who usurped Christianity after they'd murdered most of the real Christians, who happened to be mostly Africans. And their concession to those Africans was to make 500 of the murdered African Christians, okay, to make them saints. You see, the Catholic Church has the blood of the first Christians that they murdered. Check out Saint Della Sina, okay? Saint Della Sina, D-E-L-A-S-I-N-A. She was a Christian martyr, black African, voodoo Christian, high priestess. Okay, and I'm not talking about the voodoo that, you know, the corrupted stuff that has come out of, you know, the slave colonies, that has been corrupted as the Druid faith has been corrupted into a form of satanic black magic horror. That, you know, basically that's what the church judged the native religions to be evil, you know, and so obviously after a few centuries of that judgment, then they really do become evil. So a lot of Druid symbology is used in satanic rituals, and then people say, oh yeah, but you know, that Druid stuff, it's all evil. The voodoo stuff, it's all evil. It isn't. It's the judgment that makes it evil. If you bring a child up and just judge it mad, okay, teach it black is white, well, expect it to, you know, that child to grow up mentally unstable. Unless at some point find some truth to hold on to. And, you know, I was very lucky because I had my maternal and paternal grandmothers who really helped me to understand the reality of the world, and especially my maternal grandmother, who was very educated and used to, you know, she informed me about history, the popes, you know. I was reading history books about Britain's kings and queens when I was 8 and 9 years old. So I've always had a very solid foundation as far as connecting with facts and truth and applying them to the world that I live in today. And this is what we need to do, and we need to accept the facts and truth of revelations and how they have been applied to the world that we have been living in for centuries upon centuries since their invention. And they were invented and put together by a man called Cerinthus, who was a Greek Gnostic. He hated Rome. He hated that Rome had now took on Jesus. He hated Jesus because Cerinthus was a misogynist. Okay, that means he hates women. Women he considered were the source of all evil. Okay, that was Cerinthus. Jesus was quite the opposite to Cerinthus. He treated women as his equals. He advocated education for women during a time in Hebrew history where women weren't even allowed to learn to read. It was against the law for a woman to read. Okay, that was the society Jesus was living in, and yet Jesus is sat with was it Mary or Martha, and you know, she's asked to go and help in the kitchen, and Jesus said no, she's better here with me learning. You see, that's education for women. Okay, and women were Jesus' biggest supporters as well. So, you know, Jesus accepted the female side of man as his other half, and he also accepted that the concept of God was both male and female. He accepted the truth of Genesis, that Jah created man in her own image. Okay, let us create man, both male and female, in our own image, to be like us, and set them to tame the earth. You see, so Jesus, he stuck to facts and truth and what he knew of his own life experience, and obviously his own, what we would call today, supernatural experiences, because the supernatural is a reality and we cannot keep on denying it. Okay, supernatural stuff happens, end of story. You don't of course people can claim false supernatural experiences. Some supernatural experiences can be drug induced, or because of some problems with the brain, psychosis, all kinds of things. But regardless of that, there still remains the core solid reality of supernatural experiences that do inform us of the truth and facts and actually guide us to a brighter way. And there is a higher consciousness. Now, America's waiting and delighting. Oh, the prophecy's being fulfilled. You know, and as I've explained, we're meant to be like the people of Nineveh. They hear the horrors that are going to happen if they carry on in their criminal, lawless ways. They say, oh, please forgive us, God. We're going to change. We're going to start living lawfully. We're going to sort ourselves out. You're right. We don't want these bad things to happen. So what do? They change. They're forgiven. And none of the bad things happen. And Jonah's very upset with God because he said, you know, you told me to lie because I told these prophecies and now they've not happened. And God explains to Jonah that, look, those things would have happened, but the people changed and my heart was melted, softened to them. So what we're dealing with in that case then is a reasonable concept of jar, aren't we? We're dealing with a consciousness and intelligence that has a heart, that can be reasoned with if we present a valid reason. So Jar's very angry. Explain to these people, it's not what Jar is going to do to them, it's what they will do to themselves, you see. But humanity has yet to understand that. For some strange reason, we can create a nuclear bomb, but we cannot understand the words of our own history written by our own living ancestors from their own real experiences. So it's like a parent, isn't it, who's explaining to their child that, look, if you keep going out stealing and being nasty and bullying children, you're going to be expelled from school, you're going to end up in prison, you're probably going to end up being very poor and having a horrible life, and might even end up getting executed. You'll end up murdering people and getting executed. Is that a prophecy? No. It's what happens with a life of crime. Would the parent or the child or the other brothers and sisters of that child be standing around saying, as they witness the lawlessness of their sibling or offspring, would they be standing around saying, oh, what our mum and dad said's coming true, oh, it's coming true, oh, look, he's in prison now, oh yay, we're waiting for the rapture, we're waiting for the rapture, when he finally gets hung? Seriously, that is exactly what is going on, and it is all rooted in the evil of Cerinthus. Okay, what he did was, he stole the prophecies from the original Testament. I don't call it the Old Testament because it's not an Old Testament, it's an original Testament. He stole fragments from those prophecies, and that's why there is truth within Revelations. It's the original truth from the original prophets, from the original Testament. But what he's done is he's twisted and manipulated those revelations to support the misogynist character of Lucifer, who he tries to pass off as Jesus. But we know it's not Jesus, okay, because apparently when all the destruction's been done and these evil so-called angels of hell are pouring their poisonous vials onto the lands and poisoning the seas and killing countless creatures and people, okay, once all that is done, who remains at the end? Jesus, apparently, with his 144,000 pure males who'd never defiled themselves with women. Okay, that's why they were pure. Not because they were good, kind, merciful. No, they'd never defiled themselves with women. 144,000 are allowed to stand with Jesus to rule the earth over the remnant that's left. Okay? So, and who does Jesus call himself? This character of Jesus in Cerinthus Revelations, the bright and morning star. Read it, it's very clear in Revelations. Okay? So, go back to the original Testament, go back to the original prophecies. Who is the bright and morning star? Ah, Lucifer. Yes. The light bearer, apparently. Well, the only light that he bears is in the weight of physical gold that he carries, that has, mesmerised the whole of humanity to the extent that people are selling their children for not even gold, the paper promissory notes that were created on the strength of it, and they've even removed the strength of the gold from those notes, so they've got no weight or power in themselves. Instead, they are totally controlled by the people who own the gold. They now keep the gold for themselves. You cannot have any gold for your paper notes unless you've got, what is it, $800, $1,000 to buy an ounce of gold. And how much does $1,000 equate to in wages? Okay, a man's wages living, you know, one of the 4.3 billion who lives on 75 pence a dollar, or $1 a day, or $2 a day. How many people's wages then, days' wages, does $1,000 create that people are prepared to invest in a lump of physical yellow metal that really does very little for us? Okay, people are prepared to invest $1,000 of their money into an ounce of that, but they're not prepared to invest in decent living standards, education, healthcare, and all the other things that humanity is entitled to, and that traditionally we always did provide for ourselves. Okay, traditionally we had our healers, we had our midwives, we had our education, all of these things we had. We provided them for ourselves, for each other, within our own system of barter and exchange. And they've all been usurped. And people who shouldn't be teachers are teachers because they've had the money to train to be a teacher. People who shouldn't be a doctor are a doctor because they've had the money to train to be a doctor. So you've got the wrong people in the wrong places, to the extent we now have Trump, you know, we're witnessing Trump as President of the United States. A guy who really has got no experience for the job. He isn't a politician. He never has been. He's a guy in the wrong place. He's out of place. And that is America's response to what they claim is the corruption of their media and their political system. Okay, so America's response to that apparently has been to elect Trump. Whether America did really elect Trump is again a question to be asked, because let's face it, those elections were rigged in the sense that millions of people were denied their right to vote on spurious grounds. So it isn't even it's a perversion of democracy that has elected a perversion of a president, and fully supported by apparently evangelical Christians. By Christians, fully supported by Christians. What was it? 85% of evangelicals support Trump. Are they all waiting for him, rubbing their hands gleefully? Oh, he's going to fulfill the prophecies. It's going to be nuclear war, and then Jesus is going to come on a cloud of glory. Oh my gosh! You know, obviously these people don't know Jesus, because they've had the head stuck in Cerinthus revelations. Basically, up Cerinthus's arsehole, okay? Because yes, he's 144,000 pure males who've never defiled themselves with women. No, they defiled themselves with children instead, didn't they? Yes. Yes, we know how these revelations have been interpreted, and have been like a huge cake for the most sadistic, evil psychopaths on the planet. And they are giving themselves rights to pollute the earth, rights to destroy, rights to do whatever they want to do on the strength of those revelations, because, hey, we're just fulfilling the prophecies. We're just fulfilling God's will. How stupid is that can be? So the people of Nineveh then should have said, let's carry on doing our lawlessness, because Jonah here is a prophet of God and he's told us what's going to happen. So we're just going to keep on doing all our wrong things, and we're going to celebrate. The closer we get to our own destruction, we're going to be happier and happier to witness the prophecies coming true. Seriously. Well, go back to the original Testament. Look at the good side, the positive prophecies that can happen when people listen to their heart and head. Jerusalem and Zion, a woman's heart and a woman's head. Okay? That's Jerusalem and Zion. Who's listened to the woman's heart? Who listens to the woman's head? I'm not talking about the oligarchical females up there parading around with the painted nails and tottery heels and sexy dresses. Okay, I'm talking about real women with real life experience, with real intelligence, with real love and compassion in their hearts. Who is listening to that woman? Who's listening to Jerusalem? Who's listening to Zion? And I'm not talking about the Zionists, because they are just Islamist. They have got nothing whatsoever to do with intelligence. They themselves are profiting from people's faith in the Christian world's faith in revelations as the will of God. Well, do you know what? God has got no will on this earth, okay? Because the only power of will that Jah has on this earth is when humanity picks up on it and lives by it, okay? And Jah will is universal law of abundance in compassion. The head cornerstone is compassion. The builders have refused compassion. The builders of this present world we're living in, they refused compassion. They cut it out and they've left it for a stumbling block, and that is what it is. Everybody with compassion shall fall and stumble in this world. They shall not achieve power and fame and fortune except by a fluke or luck in this world, okay? The majority of the compassionate humanity shall fall down at that stumbling block. That's why women have the least power and wealth in this world, okay? So what should be the stumbling block is ignorance. Ignorance of Jah law. That should be the stumbling block. But no, ignorance has been made the head cornerstone by the builders, because that is their prime foundation, is to ignore Jah law of abundance in compassion and equality and unconditional love for all people, and upholding our rights, our universal earth and human and animal rights. Okay? So Cerinthus, like I say, he was a Gnostic. Check him out. He was a Gnostic. He hated women. He hated Rome. He supported Lucifer, the light bearer. He believed in gold. And that's who he promotes through his revelations. He's twisted the prophecies to support his ideology, his vision for the future. That, yes, the whole earth shall be destroyed, and then there'll be just a few people like him around with his idea of Jesus. Okay, the man who personifies his idea of Jesus. And we shall all live happily ever after, won't we? And let's face it, once they've got that world, well, they've got the machines here to produce just males, because you can get rid of women, can't you, completely then, because you've got control over the technology with the artificial wombs. So, you know, Cerinthus world is leading exactly where Cerinthus wanted it to go, because everybody's believed in Cerinthus. They've not believed in Zion. They've not believed in Jerusalem. So here you go, there's your future. Because let's face it, if we stop producing females altogether, then that'll be all the world's problems solved, won't it? Honestly. Of course we know that's not going to happen, because, you know, men do like, that misogynist male likes to fuck women, doesn't it? And little girls as well. So, you know, it is getting bad. And it will be bad. And it will get badder and badder and badder. And in fact, it can get worse than anybody can even imagine. Okay? And that's all because people, a very core majority of people, still hold faith in Cerinthus. Instead, they don't go and read Isaiah. They don't read Isaiah. They don't learn the facts of the truth. They don't want to know the truth. All they want is a reason to step on somebody, a reason to hate somebody, a reason to judge somebody, a reason to say, I am better than you. a reason. You know, and the Ten Commandments, again, totally misinterpreted. They are a promise of how we will live as a species, of our state of mind, the purity. They are a promise of the purity of our mind and heart when we are born into a world that is fully committed to upholding universal law of abundance and compassion, that's fully committed to being a host to universal intelligence, okay, golden light intelligence. Not physical gold, not the intelligence so-called surrounding their evil belief in physical gold as a divine thing. Because everything on this planet is divine and was created by the divine. And gold is no more precious, actually, than copper. Copper's actually more useful. And that's the fact of it. So, you know, I am sick to death of people going on about gold, invest in gold, gold, really, what? Why? What? So it can all sit in a banker's vault and we can watch children starve. That's basically the gist of it. And so, like I say, you can carry on ignoring me, carry on slandering me, carry on spreading lies about me, but, world, you will fall, okay? Because you have refused to accept intelligence, you have insisted on following vain beliefs and actually evil and sadistic biblical so-called writings by people like Cerinthus, who even you know, falsely accredits Revelations to St. John the Apostle. St. John the Apostle did not write Revelations. There is absolutely no way that he did. We know that for a fact now, okay? And they were written by Cerinthus, and they are a plagiarisation, they're a corruption, and the guy is actually crazy. And St. John the Apostle in his life loathed, as he actually loathed Cerinthus, and he called him a deceiver of all mankind. And that is exactly what he is, and that's exactly what his revelations are promoting. So now we stand on the cusp, okay? We stand on the cusp and the brink of total destruction. And I've shared this methane and mass extinction, what the Corbett report missed, and it's about climate change. I'll leave you the link. You better watch it, and you better start making some serious life choices, because we are on the brink of total destruction. So, you know, you either think about what you really want, who you are, why you're on this planet in the first place. Either you're a total ignoramus, selfish, sadistic person who really couldn't give a toss about anybody or anything except yourself and your own short little life on this planet. You don't believe you have an eternal quantum light energy soul. So, you know, though you will be in for a shock when your body dies and actually you're still conscious, and you will have to give an account for your intelligence that you've lived by, because we are intelligent beings, and if we have not lived by intelligence, then, you know, we're not worthy. That soul is not worthy to be a human being, okay? So that is how it is. The poor and impoverished who've been denied any access to knowledge, the mystified people, no, not ignorant, mystified, because not knowing does not mean ignorance. Not knowing means mystified. It's the duty of those who know to inform the mystified, and that's what I'm doing to Babylon children, explaining, Babylon children, your mother is a mystery to you, okay? Because this oligarchical female that has taken her place to stand with the oligarchical male, the heads of the wolf pack, have kept you all mystified in order to judge you all ignorant and deny you rights. That's the fact of it. That's the bottom line. That's how they gave themselves rights, so-called, to decimate the native populations in all the colonies, because all the people were judged heathen. No rights under God's law. You can kill them if you want. Okay, that is the right that they gave them by judging native peoples as ignorant. When they weren't ignorant, they were living quite intelligently. They'd survived. They were looking after their lands. America was pristine. But they were mystified as to the ways and wherefores of our culture and our understandings and our technology, because, you know, we were a different culture. And no culture has a right to judge another culture ignorant because that culture doesn't know anything about them. But this is the world that we're living in. And those are the foundations that all the prophets through history and the power institutions have been built and established. And it is time that people accepted once and for all. Revelations is bullshit. Okay? That's what it is. It was written by an evil man, a twisted, maligned character who hated women, and who hated Jesus. And who St. John the Apostle, who Cerinthus claims wrote those revelations, loathed Cerinthus, and he did not write Revelations. Go and read Revelations. The prophecies are meant to be, the worst of them, are meant to be a warning about what will happen if we don't start living righteously and lawfully, and also a promise of the good that can happen if we do decide to start living righteously and lawfully, with compassion. So what do you have to do? What do we need to do as a world? Well, the more power a person has in this world, the more responsible that person is for standing up for change. And not for personal accreditation, fame and fortune, but because that is what we need to do, and that's what power is there for. So the politicians, the wealthy business people, the professional, the educated academics, you are all responsible now, because your silence has been the consent that has denied a voice and power and rights to the multitudes of people, impoverished people, who have no voice, who are ignored, whose sanity and compassion are trampled on daily. Okay? And for every single person in the West, there's 100,000 people living on less a couple of dollars a day, who has no voice whatsoever. And so what one person in the West thinks, remember, in Europe there's less than 1 billion people. Okay, so let's say there's 1 billion people in Europe and America. And then you've got, what, 7 billion people, 6 billion people. So for every one person in America, what we do, what we believe, what we stand up for, what we say, affects 6 other people who have no power whatsoever, who are absolute total slaves to the corporate machines that are bringing food to our supermarket shelves. So-called cheap food, cheap in the money, okay, cheap for the money, but very, very expensive for the life of our planet and the life of humanity. But you know, the human cost and the earth cost, that's cheap. That's cheap. It's so disgusting, it's so sick, and I'm sick to death. Absolutely, I cannot even bear to see any more people, these videos going on about Revelations, we're waiting for the rapture. How dare you, how dare you, how dare you. And I knew in my gut that there was something wrong with those revelations from being a child. I was absolutely disgusted and horrified. I thought, what kind of God does that? It's no wonder I turned my back on all religion and God, because what was God? What kind of God would do that? You know, claim to create humanity, to have free will, and then impose this evil prophecy on us. This is God's will. God's will. No, it isn't. It's Cerinthus' satanic, Luciferian will. That's what it is. Not everything that happens in life is God's will. Life is life. Life happens. We have a law to protect us, to provide, so that the best of our will can come through. And the best and the highest level of our will and intelligence is always connected to compassion and serves a compassionate law. And that does not mean we all have to follow one faith. Again, I will repeat it again and again and again. Every single religion on this planet has had no trouble incorporating this evil system and its money supply and its illegal laws into their religious faith. Well, you can kick those out and replace that now with the head cornerstone, compassion for Jah law of universal law of abundance in compassion. And if you can't do that as a religious faith, you're not a religion, you're a satanic cult. And that's the fact of it. And satanic cults are criminal organisations that want to deny people's rights, particularly usually women and children's rights and animal rights. Then, you know, those are forbidden because they are a crime. So, you know, to America, to the world, what can I say? I'll keep making my videos because I can't really do anything else. I've got no power, I've got no following in particular. Nobody who has got a voice is prepared to stand by me or promote what I'm saying. They will steal what I'm saying, they will steal my understanding and pass it off as their own and not say, oh, I've listened to this lady who's talked about, you know, she's had this experience, she's talked about light being, because the attention isn't for me, the attention is for light being. And so when I witness people taking things that light being has explained to me to share with people, and then other people go and take that for themselves, for their own persona, ego trip, it really pisses me off. Because it isn't for an individual, it is from the light being. In order that people connect with the light being within themselves. So Jesus returns to earth, okay? Jesus returns to earth in us, not as one man to be worshipped by all. No, that is not the way it is going to be. The youth is within every human being, and we need to connect to our youth, okay? It doesn't matter how old you are. We're all a youth in terms of our age on this planet, our spiritual, intellectual age. We're coming into the age of our youth because the Father was chopped down. That's why Jesus taught us to pray to our Father who art in heaven, because the Father was chopped down and the mother has been a widow, and in that sense the whole of humanity is a widow. And when we connect to our youth, then we can lose the grief of our widowhood and get married to universal law, universal intelligence. We become a host. We're the wife, the body, the host to the golden light intelligence. But you cannot do that till we accept we're a widow, till we accept that this was a lie, that was a lie, kick them out, till we take the stumbling block and put it as our head cornerstone, compassion. Nothing will change, and revelations will be the reality, okay? And there shall be no rapture except for the evil psycho-sadists, sado-fascists that are now following those revelations like a blueprint to the letter and having full support of people who claim to believe in Jesus. So, you know, God bless Chris Hedges and God bless everybody that is prepared to accept the truth and reality and who is not prepared to accept the evils of Cerinthus revelations as the will of God, okay? And to accept that, you know, Jah did not create us in order to impose a will on us. You know, we're talking about a higher consciousness that opposes slavery. Okay, so how can a higher consciousness that opposes slavery, that upholds people's human rights, how can that impose the will of evil prophecies on us? No, no, the prophecies always were and are a warning. Now you either heed the warning, like the people of Nineveh, and change and prepare to accept the reality of universal law and universal intelligence that created us. And again I say it, I'm not a creationist. I don't believe the planet was created in 6,000 years. Okay, I do not hold with any of that BS. But we do need to accept that it takes an intelligence to create an intelligence, and this universe we live in has created life, and therefore we live in a living universe, and our God is a living God, not the dead God, not the dead man, Cerinthus, who gave the world his evil revelations. And it is time we tore those out and threw them away. But really I say let them stand for all time, so that humanity can witness the truth of what happens to life, and how important the written word, how it is important that the written word is properly and correctly understood, and that its sources are fully authenticated before we go running away with them as the will of God. Okay, so thank you for taking time to listen. I hope you're enlightened. Really be happy, because like I say, it's good news, isn't it? It is good news. There's no such thing as death. Okay? There's no such thing. Your body will die. You're probably going to be reborn onto this planet if you don't spend a time in the quantum paradise. Okay? But they are a reality, a scientifically proven fact. So wake up to reality. It's good. Okay? The world, the reality this world lives on is what? Myth and mystery. Is there a life after death? Oh, we don't know. But, you know, best put a few coppers in the church now and again. You know, show your praise to God now and again. Do the odd bit of kind thing just in case. But really, just keep believing in our money and put your full faith in the value of our physical gold. Well, I'm sharing spiritual, intellectual gold, okay? And so is Chris Hedges. And so is Ken O'Keefe. And so is Michael Tellinger. And so is Ronald Bernard of the Bank of Joy, okay? And so is Cynthia McKenna. Cynthia McKenna, brilliant woman. The only true human that served in Congress. Well, one of the few true humans who serve in Congress, because, you know, there are a few others. Look to the living. Okay, look to the living and find confirmation for those people and what they're saying within the original testaments. Tear your heads out of that so-called New Testament. And remember, Jesus called himself the Son of Man, okay? And we, brother and sister, and he taught us to pray to our Father. Well, if we want our Father to live on this planet, okay, then we do need to start getting serious and stand up for our rights and protect our planet and start cleaning up the corporate filth that has been, you know, at liberty to spread itself, to pollute our planet, our minds, our thoughts, our hearts, all on the strength of revelations and people's absolute faith in those as the will of God. Well, I've just explained they are not the will of God. They are the will of a misogynist Luciferian. So, you know, make up your own minds, and yes, that will be the Armageddon, won't it? Between the believers, those who have faith in the truth, and those who cling to lies.